What's up, Land Rover fans? Today, I'm going to show you how to fix a power steering fluid leak on your Land Rover LR4. This applies to the Range Rover Sport of a similar vintage as well, but I've got my 2012 LR4 right here, and it is leaking power steering fluid pretty badly. I've traced the leak back to the lines that meet the power steering rack. I'll show you the leak that I'm talking about. And I've got the OEM lines right here, got the line that runs to the rack and the line that runs from the rack back to the pump. We'll swap them both out and hope that the leak is solved, but it's not too bad of a job. We got to pull the under tray off, pull the driver's side wheel off to get access to the power steering pump. But from there, just some basic tools. We'll swap these lines out and I'll show you the leak. I'll show you as I work. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we've got to do is pull off the under tray. So I've already done that. It's really not too hard to do. You've got 8 13mm bolts, and that will get you the main under tray off that sits right here. And then you've got this front steel under tray as well, and it's got 2 10mm bolts at the front. There's where our leak is. You can see all that fluid around there. It's all grimed up, and that is actually after I cleaned it up even. So this is like, cleaned it up, drove it for a week, and you can see it's just a mess again. So we're gonna pull both of those lines off. You can see there's just a 10mm bolt right in the center there with the little green mark on it. I'm gonna pull those off and then get the lines out of here. And we'll swap them out. Unfortunately, to get the top part of that power steering line that runs to the pump and actually get access to the power steering pump, we've got to remove this driver's side wheel. So what I've done here, if you leave the door open, the air suspension system won't be doing anything, won't move on you. And so I've just jacked up the control arm a little bit right here, just enough to get this tire off the ground. Pull the tire off, and then we've got to take the inner fender liner off. So you can see we've got an 8mm up here, and then a lot of these clips. These are just like push clips. Get a pry tool. Here's what I'm using. This guy. They're kind of a pain to get off, but just get in there and you'll pry them out. With all the clips out of the way, what we're going to do is actually pull this outer fender off. It's just clipped in place, so just get it started. There are clips all the way around, and like I said, some 8mm around this, but we've got to get this off to pull the inner fender out. So just work your way slowly. Never sounds good, but they're just clips. And then it's off, we'll get it out of the way. Once you get that stuff off, the inner fender liner will kind of come out. It takes some finagling, but you'll get it out. There we go. Set this out of the way. With the inner fender out of the way, now we can actually see, here's our power steering pump, staring right at it. To get these lines off of the rack, there's a 10mm bolt that holds a plate in place. And what I've done here, I actually set a socket on that bolt. So if you look up there, see the socket sitting there? That's where the bolt is. So I'm just kind of underneath the car here, coming in from the front. Sorry, the light's a little bit blinding, but there's the socket. So I'm gonna get a 1/4 inch, a pretty small ratchet in there, and I'm gonna get that off. I can't really hold the camera and get the ratchet in there at the same time, but it's not torqued on super tight, so it's not a big deal. You have reasonable access for what it is, but there's the socket. I'm gonna get the ratchet on it and crank that thing off. So there's the bolt, just got it out. And I'm gonna actually leave the lines in place while I get the rest of the stuff that holds the power steering lines up there. The other bolt that we've got to get to is right up here. You can see it, it's a 10mm. It holds this bracket in place where the hose kind of snakes around. Mine's really gunked up, so I'm gonna kind of clean that off, but kind of get the nut off of that, and then this will lift off the bracket. We'll get the line out of there. Now to get the top part of that line off, if you look closely, right up here, you can see it's right there. I've got a 22mm socket on that banjo bolt. So here's the line. It's so hard to see this stuff, sorry guys. This is the line right here, this guy. And the real reason why we took off the inner fender liner is just so that we can see this really well and get access to get that socket on. If I go up top, you can see I removed the air box. That's just an it's a 7mm on this hose clamp. Disconnect the mass airflow sensor right there, and that just lifts out, so not a big deal. But now when I look down there, there's my socket, and I can actually get to it with my swivel and ratchet from up here. But you want to be able to see that stuff from the side. So if you've done this before, you really don't need to take that inner fender out, but I'm telling you, the access is so much better. And when you're feeding the new line up there, you're really gonna wanna get your hands in from the Fender side over here. So if we look, you can see all the fluid dripping out. I didn't suction any of the fluid out, I didn't drain anything. I just cracked that top line, and I'm just letting that drip. Once it's done dripping, I'll clean this all up and just wipe it up, make sure we get everything nice and clean. You can see I got the line, man, it's hard to see under here, but there's the rack, and we just have the one remaining line right here. I got the other one off, and it's just kind of dangling now. So I'm going to pull it. There it is. There's our culprit, the leaking O-ring. Actually, I think both of these lines are probably leaking, but this is now out. So I'm gonna get this out of the way. So there's one line out. Then the next thing to do, here's our other line. There's this clip right here. We want to get this off and keep this so that we're going to transfer this to the new lines. But now I'm going to pull the other line out. There we go. There's it. And then we're going to have to snake this thing around. I'm going to set it here for now, just in case it drips at all. And I'll show you where the other end of this goes. We'll disconnect. The other end of that power steering line, we can see it is, try to reach down in there. It's right there, right where my finger is pointing. So the line, let's see if I reach further. Right here, this line. So what I've got to do to get this off, it has, let me show you the new one, and I'll kind of show you how that connector works. Just wanted to show you what was a bit of a pain here. So the new line, if you look, it's got these little tangs, 4 of them, and they clip onto a collar that's on the power steering cooler line. So going on is really easy. One-way thing, you just push on and it's locked in place. Getting the old one off, not so easy. So I ended up just kind of hacking this to bits and breaking away those tangs as best I could with a flathead. So I just got a flathead in there, kind of twisted it, broke the tangs off, and then that freed up the line. So we just got the line out, and I'm gonna take this little bracket off right here, transfer it to the new line, and then clean up the old rack, clean up all the mess that was made from this fluid dripping everywhere, and then we'll get the new lines installed. Just got our new bolt, the banjo bolt through. You can see that new shiny copper right there, the new washers. It is in place now, and it's tight up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back underneath and then get the line into the rack and get that all in place. Here's the other end of that line. Now, one thing to do on these O-rings right here, I take a little bit of fresh motor oil, just lubricate that O-ring, because you don't want it to get twisted up as you install it. And if you look closely here, I'll try to point out where it's going. It's going into this area right there. So I've already got this line in, and I'm gonna fit the other one in, and then there's this plate that we actually swing around. So it goes over this, and then it swings around and we put the bolt through right there, and that'll lock everything in place. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that in. It's just a little tight. I can't really, unfortunately, can't really show you as I work here, but I'll get it in place and then show you once it's done. All right, I just got everything tightened up. Got this tightened up, and I got the clip back on. A little hard to see there, right there. Lines are solid again. New lines are in place, and now it's time to just get things back together. Well, I just got the power steering topped up again. You can see, well, can't really see the mark, but you can see the dark and the light. So we're filled up the reservoir here, and I'm gonna start it up and then take it for a test drive. Everything is together except the under trays. So I left those off because I'm gonna continue to monitor for leaks here. I wanna make sure that these new lines are not leaking at all. All right, well, I just got done taking for a test drive and quick inspection underneath. There's no leaks, but I'm gonna keep doing that over the next couple weeks as I drive more and more. Overall, not a terrible job. This took about 2 hours to put 2 new power steering lines in. A little bit, you know, tight space for your hands, but not a huge deal. All right, guys, so it's been about a week. I've been driving around, just kind of checking the fluid level and checking underneath for leaks. Everything looks good. I'm gonna try to show you that everything is dry up here. It's a little hard to see, but there is the ends of the lines that were replaced and nice and dry. So that's what we want to see. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, just let me know. Post them up in the comment section. As always, guys, thanks for watching.